Be me, Patricia, 34, Human Resources Director. Finally, in a position where I can actually make a difference. Tired of watching incompetent men get promoted while brilliant women get overlooked. Time to level the playing field. First day in new role, already identifying problems. Notice the engineering department is 80% male. Clearly systemic bias at work here. Start documenting everything. Month 1. Call Jake from software development into my office. Jake, we need to discuss your communication style during meetings. What about it? You tend to interrupt female colleagues. It's a form of microaggression that silences women's voices. He looks confused. I interrupt everyone when I have ideas. That's how brainstorming works. That's exactly the kind of toxic masculinity I'm talking about. Write him up for disruptive workplace behavior. Month 2. Hosting mandatory sensitivity training. Today we're going to discuss how patriarchal structures manifest in corporate environments. Room full of eye rolls. The very fact that you're rolling your eyes proves my point about male fragility. Marcus raises his hand. Patricia, I think we should focus on actual workplace issues, not gender theory. Marcus, what you just said is a perfect example of mansplaining. How is that mansplaining? You're dismissing my expertise and trying to redirect the conversation. Note his resistance to diversity initiatives in his file. Month 3, performance review season. Perfect opportunity to address the gender imbalance. Start with David from marketing. David, your performance this quarter shows concerning patterns. What patterns? My numbers are solid. It's not about numbers. It's about how you achieve them. What do you mean? I've received reports that you dominate client meetings. I'm the account lead. That's literally my job. Being loud and aggressive isn't leadership, David. Mark him down for poor teamwork and communication issues. Month 4. Tom from IT comes to my office angry. Patricia, I just got written up for helping Jessica with her computer. Tom, what you did was assume she couldn't handle it herself. She literally asked me for help. It's my job. Offering unsolicited technical assistance reinforces harmful stereotypes about women and technology. She solicited it, though. The very fact that she felt she needed to ask a man for help shows how deep these patterns run. Add failure to understand workplace dynamics to his record. Month 6. Engineering team complaining about new project assignments. Been strategically redistributing high visibility projects to women. Robert storms into my office. Why did you give the Morrison account to Lisa? I've been working on it for 8 months. Lisa brings a fresh perspective. She's been here 3 weeks. Robert, your territorial attitude toward projects is exactly what we're trying to change. Territorial. I built the entire framework. And now you're being possessive about it. Very telling. Document his resistance to collaboration. Month 8, company mixer. Overhear group of guys complaining about reverse discrimination. Approach them immediately. Gentlemen, I couldn't help but notice your conversation. They go quiet. The fact that you feel discriminated against when women finally get equal opportunities shows how accustomed you've become to unfair advantages. Steve speaks up. Equal opportunities? You've transferred 5 guys out of my department this year. Transferred because they weren't adapting to our more inclusive environment. Inclusive? You literally told Carl his opinion didn't matter because he's a white male. I said his perspective was overrepresented in the discussion. Make mental note about Steve's hostility to diversity efforts. Month 10. Discovered that Brad has been tracking the demographics of my personnel decisions. Calls it a concerning pattern. Bring him in immediately. Brad, I understand you've been collecting data about departmental changes. Yeah, I noticed something weird. What exactly are you implying? In 10 months, you've initiated disciplinary action against 23 men and 0 women. Maybe that tells you something about male workplace behavior. Or maybe it tells me something about your management style. The audacity. Brad, what you're suggesting borders on insubordination. I'm suggesting you might have a bias. The only bias here is your inability to accept accountability. Formal write-up for creating a hostile work environment through unfounded accusations. Year 1, Christmas party. Notice the men aren't really talking to me anymore, clearly feeling threatened by the changes I'm implementing. Corner Andrew by the refreshments. Andrew, you seem distant lately. Just focusing on work, Patricia. I hope my initiatives aren't making you uncomfortable. Your initiatives? Creating a more equitable workplace. Is that what we're calling it? His tone is completely inappropriate. Andrew, I'm sensing some resentment. No resentment, just confusion about why good employees keep getting fired. If they were truly good employees, they wouldn't resist progress. Note his passive-aggressive behavior toward management. Month 14. Kevin from sales requests a meeting. Patricia, I need to understand something. What's that, Kevin? Why am I being put on a performance improvement plan? Your sales numbers have declined by 2%. Company average declined by 8%. It's not just about numbers. Then what is it about? Your approach to client relationships reflects outdated masculine sales tactics. Outdated how? Aggressive, pushy, domineering. I closed 3 major deals this month, but at what cost to our company culture? He looks genuinely baffled. Kevin, your confusion itself is telling. Month 16. Notice the men are having more private conversations, clearly organizing some kind of resistance. Decide to address it head-on during team meeting. I've noticed some concerning behaviors lately. Room goes dead silent. There seems to be an undercurrent of resentment toward our equity initiatives. Nobody responds. The silent treatment is just another form of passive aggression. Finally, Greg speaks up. We're not giving you the silent treatment. We're scared to talk. Scared of what? Scared anything we say will get us written up. That's ridiculous. Is it? You wrote up Mike for saying hey guys instead of hey everyone. Language matters, Greg. See? You're doing it right now. Document the entire room for collective resistance to inclusive policies. Month 18. CEO calls me in. Patricia, I'm getting complaints. About what? Your management style. Let me guess. From the usual suspects. From everyone. Sir, change is always difficult, especially for those who benefited from the old system. Our turnover rate has tripled. We're weeding out cultural misfits. We're hemorrhaging talent. We're making room for better talent. He doesn't look convinced. Just try to focus on actual performance metrics. Typical male leadership, prioritizing comfort over justice. Month 20. Daniel requests HR meeting about workplace harassment. Harassment from whom? From you, Patricia. Absolutely unbelievable. Explain. You told me my presence makes female coworkers uncomfortable. I said your energy can be overwhelming. You moved my desk to the basement. We needed that space for a lactation room. There are no pregnant women on our floor. We're being proactive. Patricia, this is insane. Daniel, your reaction right now is exactly the problem. Formal complaint for aggressive behavior toward HR personnel. Month 22. Start getting legal notices. Apparently, some of the terminated employees are consulting lawyers, obviously desperate, grasping at straws. Their lawyers are claiming systematic gender discrimination. Completely ridiculous. I was correcting systematic gender discrimination. Month 24, more legal letters. Now they're claiming they have evidence of bias. What evidence? Doing my job. Company lawyer wants to meet. Patricia, this could be serious. It's frivolous. They have documentation. Of what? 120 male employees terminated or disciplined under your supervision. Problematic employees. 0 female employees disciplined. There were no performance issues with female staff. In 3 years? Not one? Clearly, he doesn't understand the real issues here. Month 26. Lawsuit officially filed. Not just against the company, against me personally. Apparently, I can be held individually liable for discrimination. Need my own lawyer now. Initial consultation costs $500 just to talk. This is a very serious case, lawyer says. It's harassment. They have extensive documentation of your statements and actions taken out of context. Patricia, did you tell Martin that male opinions were overrepresented in discussions? I was promoting diverse viewpoints. Did you move 3 male employees to less desirable office spaces while moving female employees to better ones? I was optimizing workflow. Did you tell Stephen that his management style was toxically masculine? It was. Lawyer looks concerned. This is going to be expensive to defend. Month 28. Discovery phase begins. They want every email I've ever sent, every memo, every performance review, every meeting note. Apparently, my detailed documentation is now being used against me. How was I supposed to know they'd twist my words? Second lawsuit filed. Now there are 67 plaintiffs. They're organizing like some kind of angry mob. My legal fees are approaching $30,000. Had to take out a second mortgage to pay my lawyer. Month 30, third lawsuit. Now up to 94 plaintiffs. They found each other somehow, comparing notes. Their anger is palpable every time I see them in court. Furious doesn't even begin to describe it. They look at me like I destroyed their lives, which is dramatic. They all found other jobs. Depositions begin. Sitting in conference room with hostile lawyers asking aggressive questions. Miss Patricia, you wrote that men are inherently more aggressive in workplace settings. What did you mean? I meant they tend to dominate conversations. So you believe men are inherently flawed? I believe socialization creates problematic behaviors. And you felt justified in acting on these beliefs? I felt obligated to create equity. Their lawyer smiles like he just won something. Month 32, fourth lawsuit filed. 120 plaintiffs total now. The local news picks up the story. Massive discrimination lawsuit filed against HR director. They're painting me as the villain. The comments online are vicious. Men everywhere celebrating my downfall. Just proves how threatened they feel by real change. Legal bills now exceed $75,000. Had to liquidate my retirement accounts. Lawyer wants another $50,000 retainer. This is becoming a class action nightmare. Can't we settle? They don't want money, they want vindication. What does that mean? They want you to admit wrongdoing. Absolutely not. Then we go to trial. Month 34, pre-trial motions. Judge denies most of our attempts to dismiss. There appears to be substantial evidence of systematic bias. My lawyer looks grim. Patricia, you need to consider settlement. I won't admit to discrimination when I was fighting discrimination. Your principles are going to bankrupt you. Some things are more important than money. Month 36. Trial begins. Courthouse packed with angry former employees, their wives, their friends, their families. 120 men who all hate me with burning intensity. The fury in their eyes is overwhelming. Never seen such collective rage directed at one person. First day of testimony. Jake takes the stand. She told me that my ideas weren't welcome because too many men had spoken. She said my input was less valuable because of my gender, his voice shaking with anger, clearly still furious after all this time. Second day. Marcus testifies. She created an environment where men were afraid to speak. Any comment could be twisted into evidence of toxic masculinity, his resentment obvious to everyone in the room, still mad as hell. Third day. David's testimony. She took away my biggest client and gave it to someone with no experience. When I protested, she said I felt entitled because of male privilege, the rage in his voice unmistakable. 3 years later, and still absolutely furious. Week 2, Tom from IT. She wrote me up for doing my job, said helping women with technical problems was patronizing, his anger so intense he's almost shaking, clearly still livid. Week 3. Robert testifies about project reassignments. 8 months of work given to someone else. Because she decided I was being territorial, voice dripping with fury, the resentment burning in his eyes. My lawyer's cross-examinations aren't helping. Each witness more credible than the last, their anger making them compelling. Jury seems sympathetic to their outrage. Week 4, I take the stand. I was trying to create equity in a biased system. These men were resistant to change. Sometimes progress requires difficult decisions. Opposing lawyer tears me apart. Did you ever consider that your actions were discriminatory? Discrimination requires power plus prejudice. You had power over these men's careers. I used that power to fight systemic oppression by systematically targeting men, by correcting historical imbalances. Jury looks skeptical. Week 5, closing arguments. Plaintiff's lawyer presents timeline of my actions. 120 men systematically targeted over 3 years. Pattern so clear even I have to admit it looks bad. Their anger throughout the trial has been devastating. Furious testimonies that clearly moved the jury. Jury deliberates for 6 hours. Verdict, guilty on all major counts. Systematic gender discrimination proven. $2.3 million judgment against me personally. Plus legal fees for all 120 plaintiffs. Total damages exceed $4 million. Month 40. Financial reality hits. Lawyers want immediate payment. House goes into foreclosure proceedings. Can't make mortgage payments while defending multiple appeals. Life savings completely drained. Had to sell car, jewelry, everything of value. Month 42. Foreclosure hearing. Bank isn't interested in my principals. You're $47,000 behind on payments. I'm appealing the judgment. Doesn't matter to us. House officially seized. Month 44. Moving into studio apartment. Everything I owned fits in a U-Haul. Neighbors from my old street watching. Some of them probably think I deserved this. Month 46. Second trial for remaining appeals. More angry testimony from the 120 men. Their fury hasn't diminished at all. If anything, they seem more resentful. Years of legal battles have intensified their rage. Additional $800,000 in legal fees awarded against me, now facing total financial obligations of $5.2 million. Will be paying this for the rest of my life. Bankruptcy lawyer says even that won't eliminate everything. Month 48. Final appeal denied. Sitting in my 400 square foot apartment, working part-time retail job, $11 an hour. Colleagues don't know my history. Sometimes see articles online about the case, comments sections filled with celebration, men sharing the story as a victory. Their anger has turned into satisfaction. Realize I've become exactly what they wanted. Broken, powerless, financially destroyed. A warning to other women about going too far. But here's what they don't understand. I regret nothing. Those 120 men deserved what happened. If anything, I should have been more aggressive. The system is still biased. They just got lucky with a sympathetic jury. Their anger throughout this whole process just proves how threatened they felt by real change, how furious they got when someone finally stood up to them. Working retail now, but still educating people, telling customers about workplace equity, explaining systemic bias to anyone who will listen. My manager doesn't appreciate it, but I won't be silenced. The 120 men may have destroyed my finances. They may have taken my house, my career, my savings, but they didn't take my convictions. They didn't break my spirit. If I had to do it all over again, I'd probably fire even more of them. The fact that they're still so angry after getting their justice just proves how entitled they really were, how mad they got at facing consequences for their privilege. Men will always be threatened by strong women. They'll always organize against us when we gain real power. Their fury during this entire ordeal was just male fragility on full display. 120 angry men couldn't handle one woman telling them the truth. So they destroyed her life instead of examining their behavior. Typical.